What's up, YouTube? I'm back. I'm gonna make some videos, and I kind of just want to review all the helicopters I have, and these are gonna be all the helicopters that Horizon Hobby offers. I kind of went through my fleet of helis, and I kind of figured I have most of the blade helis that Horizon Hobby offers. I have all the Fusion lineup, and I have most of the blade helis. So up here at the front, right here at the front, we have in front of us the Fusion 480. Awesome bird. It's been offered by Horizon for quite some time. It's been out for quite some time, and to me, it's a great helicopter. It's been proven. It's well built. Designed by James Haley. Their pilot and designer. Shout out to him. It's an elegant machine, and it's just very well made. Anyway, so out of the box, you get a 480 kit. Essentially, that's practically nowadays a 500 size heli. You can stretch this out to a 550, and this is going to be the biggest helicopter they offer to date. 550 kit probably run you like 130. I'm not sure what it really goes for anymore. I haven't checked, but it's around there. And essentially, it's going to provide you a longer boom, longer tail belt, longer blades from 85 to 95 mil, and of course the main blades are going to be stretched from 480 to 550, essentially making the entire helicopter 550, closer to a 600 size helicopter nowadays. Flying the 550 feels exactly to me like a 600, and the 480 feels like a 500. And comparing a 500 to a 600, it's a noticeable difference. My 480, since it's the same airframe, it's very light, that's for sure. It's probably one of the lightest 500 size or 550 size helicopters out there on the market right now. It's, I think, like 6 pounds and something, fully assembled in the air. Now, with the stretch kit, you can perform. The helicopter performs with lower RPM as it would set up out of the box as a 480 with a high RPM. It's more efficient. It's more floaty, lighter disc load. It's awesome. The CGs is easier to achieve with that 5,000 milliamp battery. So that's a good thing. I think this was meant to be a 550, and they just offered 480 just because, I don't know. I mean, marketing. I'm not sure. I mean, 480 is a good size to kind of grandfather you in to get a bigger helicopter, and then as you progress in your career, RC heli career, you move on to your 550, and then I guess from there you can move on to a 700. Now, do you need a 700? Heck yeah. I mean, I recommend it. But for the sake of this video and reviewing this, I think a 550 is pretty damn good. Most of you will be happy with the 550. Now, this helicopter, to me, is probably one of my favorites from my entire fleet, and for sure from Blade. Just because the way they executed this whole kit, it's well made, and it's a great price for what you're getting for. And up here at the front, we can see the canopy. You have a lot of, yellow and green. You got a mixture of yellow and green. It's a very high visibility canopy, especially in the sun. It's very bright, very easy, very hard to lose, sight of. And it's followed by some blue, some metallic blue with the large blade logo up at the front. You got blade logo and some more green at the bottom with some like a honeycomb hex design pattern, and then you got the Fusion 480 markings and the Fusion logo on the sides, on both sides. So that's a canopy. It's made out of fiberglass. It's fairly thin, as most of you guys argue, but anyways, in a crash you guys are gonna end up replacing the entire thing. Now this video is gonna touch for all the videos, and I'm gonna review, because I am gonna review every helicopter that I do have individually, so just to give you guys, beginners or whoever's trying to look for a new heli or a kit, an idea of what to expect, and just help you, mostly you beginners, kind of choose the heli that's right for you, because I know it can get a little, out of hand and a little hectic trying to choose, and picking and choosing isn't the easiest thing to do, because you have a lot of negative comments and positive comments, and it's just a headache. I mean, sometimes people might bash on a brand just because either they're biased or whatever the reason may be. And these helicopters are great, guys. I mean, blade helis, they are good. Don't get discouraged. I haven't had any issues with them. You just gotta learn how to assemble these, tune them, set them up. That's all it takes. Do your pre-checks. And I preach this because this is really what it takes to get a helicopter right. And you really are getting a lot for what you're paying with Horizon with their blade lineup. And that's just simply because they're already assembled. I mean, not many companies offer bind and fly kits. So let's dig into it. We already spoke about the Canopy. We know it said it's flimsy, but you know what? Like I said, you'll crash and you're gonna end up destroying that thing anyways and replacing for a new one. So I guess the only con is if it's a little too flexible, and you might, since all this flex is going on, and upon removing it and installing it, you might develop cracks and stress cracks on the paint, might chip away. I haven't had that issue, but I guess that's the only thing I can think of. I crashed this helicopter twice with the canopy on, but a total of 4 times, 2 without the canopy. And what happened is with the canopy on, I ended up ripping one of the canopy grommets right through the canopy fiberwork, and I just put fiberglass on the back end and I fixed it. Wasn't a big issue, and it didn't even crack the paint like I thought it would. So I'm gonna remove the canopy so we can see the airframe. There's another thing. It's pretty easy to remove with one hand just because it's so flexible. Not that you would ever have to remove it with one hand, but I guess that's something to think of, I guess. I don't know. So you got a one-piece design. I really love the layout of this frame. I mean, James Haley did an outstanding job with this. It's very elegant, very simple, very I don't know, just a very simple design that goes a long way with this rigidity. Very how can I say this? It's just very complex in a very simple way. So let's start with the blades. You got blades with a white paint scheme, followed by carbon fiber with that's being showcased beneath the resin. Then you got some pitch black, and it kind of fades away to solid black with the blade logo and the marking 550 for the blade size. And you're followed by the blade grip, which also has blade marking logos up at the top, indicating that's the top of the blade grip. That's the way it installs. Nothing at the bottom. You also have on this main head, you have 0 pitch markings, which is great. That's going to help with you setting up at the field or at home or wherever, getting the blades to 0 pitch and just making assembly much easier and quicker. Now, I've heard many people, express that some of their blade helis with the main head with the markings are not accurate at 0 pitch when at center stick or when in adjusting sub trim to 0 pitch in forward programming, or when just adjusting at just trying to adjust your 0 pitch to your blades at center stick, and they would say that they will not be centered along with the hub. Now that's not the case for me. I have 2 kits and both of them are accurate, very accurate. I cannot tell the difference with me eyeballing it, setting it up, eyeballing it, and putting the pitch gauge on it. These are actually accurate for me at 0 pitch. Now, I never go based off 0 pitch with the blade markings anyways. That's something I only use when I'm at the field. I have no pitch gauge and I want to get this thing back up in the air if I have spare parts. Granted that it's still salvageable and repairable without a number of parts are broken. Now, I have found this to be true with the Blade Fusion 360. They have had a few duds with the head imperfections where the markings are not at 0 when at center stick. That I agree with. Now we followed with the washout mixing arms, whatever you want to call them, follower arms for the design of the blade head, for the main head, sorry. And I honestly prefer this design. Many companies are going with this design, and I honestly believe it's because when you do crash, and honestly it's more accurate for me, when you do crash, guys, see, these links are able to pop off, and that's going to reduce the damage to the rest of the head. Now when you do crash, it pops off on a DFC head. It will pop off. This is going to get caught while it rotates. It'll still rotate, and it'll get caught on one of the arms on the swash. And as it gets caught, it will get caught, and since the top portion of the link is bolted to the head, since it's a DFC design, it will twist that arm and possibly strip your head bolts, blade grip bolts, sorry, and you're left with more parts to replace and more expensive repair. And these I found in the total of 4 crashes that I've had, which is when it was converted to a 550. Every time I crashed, the links would completely pop off. My blade would swing freely, and yeah, that was the end of it. I didn't really damage my head or blade grips. I made sure everything was torqued down, nothing was stripped, everything was solid, and we're back in the air with very minimal price, parts replacement and cost, effective. So all I did was replace the ball link ends, and that's about it. And I stretched it to a 550. Not that I had to. Only thing I damaged when I did crash was the tail fin cracked. My blades were still fine. They got a little chip. My boom had a slight dent in it, but it's not torque tube belted. I can still run it. Down here we have an all aluminum swash plate. Awesome, 120 degrees. Seems to be the standard nowadays. Now this swash plate's all aluminum. It's been machined on the edges with a 45-degree bevel. Gives it a nice, the entire head actually, and the follower arms. That just gives it a nice precision look. It's well made as well too. You got some pretty large main bearings for the bearing blocks, and the bearing blocks are aluminum. Anodized is black. You got the same identical bearing block at the bottom, so they can mount either way, which is top to bottom, bottom to top, which is great because you can have spares and you don't have to kind of keep a spare each specific. You got your they're giving you, if you buy the all you need kit, they give you H6050 servos. They're good, and they give you an H6060 tail servo. They're great for sport flying, mild 3D, but I don't recommend them honestly for hardcore 3D flyer. James Haley would probably need those fancy Spectrum ones, and honestly those are $150 more, and that's just something, it's gonna be preference for someone who flies better. But I'm not a hardcore 3D flyer, so this is fine for me, and I beat the crap out of this sometimes, and my collective, I just go crazy on it sometimes, and I've never had issues with it. Granted, like I said, I'm not a hardcore flyer or even the greatest 3D flyer, but a mix of the two, sport flying and big air flying, it's been fine for me. Now, down at the bottom, we have a nice main gear. We got the all aluminum belt pulley. I love that gear. And the gear, I believe, is CNC'd, Delrin, not sure. And you got a steel pinion, which is awesome. No wear, no noise, super quiet drivetrain. The motor is a blade motor, probably by E-Flite. Doesn't have any markings from E-Flite, but we all know it's possibly made from E-Flite. The whole thing possibly is. It's a 4,320 kV through 1,300 kV motor, brushless. Oh, it's running, it comes with they recommend the 100 amp ESC or 95 amp Talon. I found that the 100 amp ESC shuts down on me. So that just tells me that the kit that they sell you, that's ready to fly with everything almost ready to fly, it's kind of not for a hardcore flyer, just for someone who wants to get into something bigger and just have a kit that's ready to assemble. So I just kind of went with the 130 amp that eliminated all of my shutdowns. So look into that, guys, because last thing you want is crashing because thermal shutdown. So let's proceed to the frame actual uh, design of the frame. You got single panels on the side, and you know the way he executed this was, you know, just very, 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 very well. It's very organized, very, just very neat, man. It's a very, in my, I guess, ergonomical design. Um, Very simple, very clean, solid, easy to replace the frame panels. And you got your, even though many people are doing the 4-piece, I honestly prefer this for this helicopter. So we have the panels, and you know, all the panels, you know, they give you a pretty nice screw set. They give you those nice beauty washers for all the screws, and you know that kind of increases the strength of the you know, all the fasteners up against the carbon fiber. Very rigid frame. I haven't broken anything on this, even after the 4 crashes. Haven't fractured anything. It's very solid. Granted, you're crashing over grass or dirt or whatever. Concrete, you're gonna expect, you know, some severe damages. The tail servo, I love the way they do this with their fusion lineup. They hide it up behind the frame, and it just gives it a very sleek design. And yeah, your battery mounts up top. Some people like that, some people don't. Some 550s have the battery mounted at the bottom, like the 700s, and that's cool. But I kind of like this better. I mean, there's really no reason to, like I said, to have like batteries down there. I mean, I understand some people do it for 12S, but this can achieve 3,000 RPM just the way it is. So there's really no reason to, you know, I think the design's, you know, well designed. There's no drawbacks or anything that I don't like about it. Your fly barless controller is gonna mount back here in the rear. It's a pretty good spot. Everything's organized right here in the back, and they give you little holes in the frame to kind of zip tie and organize all your wires. And a little tip from me, this is what I did for my helicopter. You don't have to. I just kind of did this because I was bored. I put a funnel for the fan, just to kind of help it cool down and collect air and create more vacuum. And yeah, it's not close to the motor at all. And this thing's solid, so that's not going anywhere. I put my remote receiver right there and my serial up at the top at the fly barless controller, just because I like my antennas pointing back and I want to have good connection with them at all orientations. Here's the stretch 550 stretch boom, and then we come back to an all carbon fiber and aluminum tail case. Very rigid, very nice design, very simple. Yeah, I mean, you also get a very thick, nice and wide, if I haven't mentioned already, belt. I love that. The pulleys, it's just a very simple, elegant design, kind of a, you know. And then their pitch sliders are also very nice, very rigid design, solid. I love how they did that. They didn't use that little wheel that they normally use with the fork. It doesn't make noise. The bearing spins, everything's stationary, only the bearing spins, and you don't have the that bell crank, the pitch slider wheel spinning on the fork and making that little scraping noise. If you guys have ever experienced that, I have for sure. And yeah, that's that. You got a beefy hub, you got some beefy tail blade grips, and your blade grips right here. These are 95s. The 550 for sure has a better blade paint scheme. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for this helicopter. And like I said, I wanted to touch base on pricing, performance, and crashability, all those stuff. So as far as parts for all of you guys that are gonna buy this kit, I found that these parts are pretty much very cheap compared to other kits. Parts availability for this kit, I live in California, so these parts, you know, they're available at downtown LA or Ontario, And anytime I do order parts, and when they do come across state from Chicago or Illinois, um, they will arrive within 3 days. If it's down, local, within a day or two, I have parts, and I'm always up in the air. I haven't had any downtime, no longer than 4 days, and that's just the truth, and that's the best thing about Blade. The other thing is, parts. Like I said, parts pricing is pretty cheap. They're pretty fair with the prices, and you know, it's just it's I don't think I can argue that, and that's probably one of the best pros for me. Flyability for all these that are looking for another helicopter to move up from. Maybe you're moving up from I don't know, let's say like something like the 360 or 350 size heli, which was considered once as a 450. Um, since now helicopters are measured based off their blade length. Now, I think the 480 is a good step up. The 480 is a great step up, and that thing's gonna give you a lot more confidence when flying. Just because when you fly a bigger helicopter, it is easier, guys. There's more presence in the air, and because of that, since you have something bigger in the air, kind of seems like everything's slow motion, and it feels like the helicopter flies in relations to the way you move your sticks. So if you move your stick forward, it just feels like the helicopter's moving with that stick. There's no delays. It doesn't feel like it's overshooting or it's going past the stick or faster than the stick. I mean, you can also adjust that and tune it out with the your roll rates and pitch rates and all that stuff. But regardless of all that, after even tuning it, before even tuning it, and you get it ballpark, it just feels so much more natural in the air. So that's what I gotta say about that for anyone that wants to move up. Um, Now for beginners, is this something that you guys should jump into right into? I say, hey, go for it. Now these do come with stability mode, so it's as easy to fly as their smallest micro, the Nano S3, the 150, the 180, the Infusion 180, you name it, all of them, because it has stability mode. Now, if you want to just fly in stability mode, by all means go ahead, but that's gonna create bad habits in the future when you want to learn 3D. Take it from me. Now, like I said, when you do get this kit, however you fly it, stability or not, um, performance is great. It's a solid machine. I don't think it's gonna fall apart on you. This thing's gonna probably give you many, many, many years of service to come, and I don't think you'll be let down by it. So I say, hey, you guys are looking towards Blade or Horizon Hobby. I think 480 still, it's one of their very good kits. They offer, and as far as I know, this kit's not gonna get discontinued anytime soon. It's been out for quite some time. Parts are available all the time, and you know the downtime of parts when they are in back order is just a month or two. It's not too long, and yeah, I mean, great kit. I mean, I can keep preaching that all day, and I don't mind it. It's just what happens when you make some when you provide a good product, and yeah, guys. I mean, there's not many defects or manufacturer cons that I've found, other than the setup with the 100 amp Avion ESC. So yeah, it's currently $450 for the kit right now at Horizon Hobby for the holidays. I believe it's $1,000 for the almost ready to fly kit. You must assemble though. That's good to buy a kit because it gets you into the building habit, and when you do crash, you get to know it right away and fix it. And the principle applies to all of them anyways, so you kind of just start appreciating all that. It's much funner to build them anyways, and that way you can't complain if someone assembled it wrong. So at the end of the day, just learn how to build them. Jump into it. Tom Cogswell also offers all the videos to assemble this and tune this and set it up. So, this is a great kit. It's a fun kit. I recommend it. Don't lose out on this kit. It'll be around for a long time as far as I know. And here's a picture of the box. They say it's the premier performance machine. And there it is. It's my old DX8, old reliable. I do fly a IX12, but sometimes I just can't stand that lag on the screen. So here's another visual on the whole helicopter. It's pretty neat, guys. Now I'm just trying to think here if there's anything I missed out. If you guys have any question, please drop it down in the comments. I will answer most, if not all. Just matters that are important to you guys and try to get you guys on the right track. You know, the whole point is to get you guys to keep flying and motivated to keep flying and keep the hobby alive, because not many people are doing this anymore. And you know, I think the best thing is to not bash the brands, at least, because that's, you know, what's, you know, it's not helping the hobby, that's for sure. It's killing it. And it's always good to have a, you know, great companies making good things for us, because no one else will do it. Here's the left side. It's a very symmetrical design, and I love that. But yeah, just remember, guys, it comes down to the money. Crashing something like this is going to cost you, to repair this, most of the time it's going to be upwards of $100. Blades are $100. You know, links $10. If you have a landing gear issue, that's another $30-40 on top. If you strip the bolt into the lower mounts, it's going to be like a $50-60 repair for landing gear only. $100 for blades. You know, the links, let's say $10. If you strike the boom, that's another $20, depending on what kit you have, 480 or 550 stretch. You're looking at $40. But at that case, if you damage your boom and blades, just get another stretch kit. It's gonna be another 20, so it's gonna be a total of 125 or 130, whatever it is, and plus a 60 for the landing gear. And then it just depends whatever else you damage, you know, servo horns and things of that nature. So you're looking upwards of $300 to get it back up in the air, roughly. Just consider that when you're buying a helicopter. And you know, in comparison to like a Fusion 360, Canopy $30, everything, you might get it back up with 150 and back up in the air, depending on how you crash too. It can also cost you upwards 200, but that'd probably be like the max anyways. But yeah, guys, it's a great helicopter. Look into it and keep flying. Bye bye.